Hello and welcome back to module number 14, section or video number 2. And in this module, I'm going to talk about the final project again. And I want to make sure that everyone understand. And if you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask or to email or come visit me. So the idea of the project in general, we learn about a lot of type of visual design aspect. We talked about what it entails, how to look at that, but we also looked at that from software perspective. We looked at different open source platforms and also one closed platform, which is Adobe Illustrator, to generate this visual analytics in order for us to do that. One of the things that I would like you to experiment, and that probably will take you some time to figure out what you want to examine. I recommend something that is close, personal to you, something of your interest that will make it more challenging. And so here are a few data sources that you can use. Data.gov is the federal government data source that usually is quite elaborate, and you can find a lot of data. I know that Tampa, the city of Tampa, also have a data source that you can use, but it's not as open as accessible as the federal or the White House data source called data.gov. There's European, there's also the Library of Congress that allowed us to have download data, which is also quite amazing. There's also the European data set. Again, it's up to you. You can select whatever you feel that is the most accurate or more reflect of your interest. I will accept that. What I want you to have is at least try to approach this project with regard to what is the problem you are trying to solve. And so you have to have a problem description, what is related work that's been done on it, and what is your solution. How do you think you can address this, and what is the visualization can help address the solution you propose? So those are the three things. I will ask to use Plotly or RStudio or Tableau, or if you can use it in Adobe Illustrator, you are most welcome to use it. And try to do that in a way that and post it on your blog in order for people to see what you have done. You will be asked, and one of the things that I like to incorporate into this process is the idea of visual peer review. I'm going to outline what is the idea behind it, and I'm going to state how you're going to be judged. You're going to be judged by your peers based on clear and detailed and thorough libraries. Is there a junk chart in your display? And is it best practices can be found in this work? So I want you to review the lectures that I gave. I want you to review the 14 module that we discuss on best practices in order for you to have some concise way of how you're going to approach it, not only from the data analysis aspect, but also from the visualization aspect. So the due date is December 2nd. And the final, you're going to have a peer review. What is the peer review consist of? As I said before, and I showed you this idea of what does it entail, I want to go over that one more time just to make sure that we understand that. Taft principle of data visualization lay out some foundation of how we see that. And so we have to have evidence, we have to have multivariate analysis, and we have to have documentation and a way for us to present how the data is captured. Under the first principles is the idea of that you have to have a clear, detailed labeling in order for people to understand what it is. I can tell you from my own experience as a researcher in academic journals, this is how they judge my work. Is it detailed? Does it give very clear labeling to all the data set that I'm using? And sometimes it's hard and challenging. So you have another tool such as Illustrator that can add something that maybe the RStudio or maybe the Plotly or maybe any other software that you will use does not provide you. You can add another dimension to it. The 3D is often, according to our textbook, is not trying to avoid that. Try to not to have 3D because it's not ideal of it. The issue of Lie, according to Tufte, is the idea, it is the size of the effect. I did not do editing to this PowerPoint, but when you will download the PowerPoint, it will be fixed. I do apologize for that, but the idea of Lie describe the space between the size of the effect shown in the graph and the size of the effect showing the data. And if there is discrepancy between them, that will be a lie. And so according to Tufte, this is something that we can always measure to see what is it entail. An example, years and quarterly, and again, the issue of does not match and does not reflect what's going on, and especially with the visual aspect that you can see that the quarterly data does not match the yearly data, that can be a problem when we are applying. The third principle by Tufte is called data ink ratio. The data ink ratio is the data ink divided by the total ink used in the graphic. I don't remember if you are familiar with old printer. In the past, when I used to print my graphics, it used to be that I used to go to buy ink all the time because I used to use all the inks in my graphic graphs. And so the idea here is Tufte use the idea of what is the ratio between the data and the ink. And I think it is a good the visual, a good understanding what it means, it consists of. And again, we talked about that throughout the semester. So the fourth principles by Tufte is called junk. And so I will say that I don't want to see something that not extra information will provide us better understanding of the data. It will only confuse us. Do not try to add more illustration or symbols in order for us to understand what it is. So again, this is the issue of the Tufte, and he came up with the idea of the Gestalt. And we talked about that with the beginning of the semester, how the Gestalt apply to the idea of the visual. And so, how do you review your peers' work? What I want you to evaluate, and through your eyes, is your peer work complete labeling, or is it something is missing? Is there a lie factor in your peer work? Is it an extra visual that doesn't make any sense and cause us to think that this is a chart junk that doesn't need to be there? And is it the best graphical practices can be found in the work? And again, we looked at this best practices in our textbook, and I want you to see if it will fit into your peer work in order for you to give a good or bad evaluation of your peers. That's it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it makes more sense now. I want you, if you can, try to make it as simple as possible. Try to be honest and try to examine it, because it will help you to better understand how to evaluate or to understand your work even better. So this is the end of the second module. The next video is about the upcoming class that I will teach in the spring. Thank you. Bye.